What if I told you that making 10 times more money does not give you 10 times a better life? At $1,000 a month, you think about survival. At $10,000, you start thinking about freedom. And at $100,000, you might discover something nobody warned you about. More money can solve problems you thought were impossible while creating problems you never knew existed.
Because the difference between $1,000, $10,000, and $100,000 isn't just the number in your bank account. It's your lifestyle, your stress, your choices, and most importantly, how much control you have over your time. So let's look at what these three income levels really look like. Not the Instagram version, the real version. Let's start with $1,000 a month. For many people, that's their entire monthly income. At this level, money isn't about maximizing investments. It's about making sure you have enough until the end of the month. Imagine getting paid on Friday. You pay the bills, buy groceries, maybe replace something you've been putting off. Then, your balance starts falling. $900. $700. $500. $300. Suddenly, the next paycheck doesn't feel far away. It feels necessary. That's what living paycheck to paycheck feels like. And simply telling someone to work harder doesn't automatically solve the problem. If most of your income goes toward essential expenses, one unexpected bill can destroy the entire month. That's why the first goal at this level shouldn't be looking rich. It should be creating breathing room. Build an emergency fund. Save your first few $100s. But most importantly, increase your earning power. Instead of asking, what can I afford? Ask, what can I learn that makes me more valuable? Because moving from $1,000 to $2,000 can change your life more than trying to get rich from investments. A better skill, a better job, a better client, a better business. At this stage, the goal isn't to look rich. It's to stop being one emergency away from financial disaster. Now, imagine your income jumps from $1,000 to $10,000 a month. That's a completely different world. Not because you're suddenly a millionaire, but because money stops controlling every decision. You can save, invest, travel, live somewhere better, and replace something when it breaks without panicking. But the biggest difference isn't luxury. It's options. At $1,000, you ask, can I afford this? At $10,000, you start asking, is this worth my time? But this is where people make a huge mistake. They upgrade everything. Better apartment, better car, better phone, better restaurants, better vacations. And suddenly, their $10,000 income becomes a $9,500 lifestyle. They make more money, but still feel broke. That's lifestyle inflation. The real power of $10,000 isn't that you can buy more. It's that you can keep more. Imagine earning $10,000 and living on $6,000. Now you have $4,000 every month to build your future. That's $48,000 a year. Now you're not just earning, you're building capital. You can invest, start a business, learn new skills, and take calculated risks. But don't become too comfortable. $10,000 isn't the finish line. It's the point where you finally have enough breathing room to start playing a longer game. Now let's go to $100,000 a month. That's $1.2 million a year before taxes. At this level, money can buy an extraordinary amount of convenience. You can hire people, live in expensive areas, travel frequently, buy expensive things, and invest enormous amounts of money. But here's the surprising part. $100,000 a month doesn't automatically mean happiness. Your problems simply change. At $1,000, you might ask, how am I going to pay this bill? At $100,000, you might ask, who can I trust? Where should I invest? How do I protect what I've built? Money doesn't remove every problem. It changes the category of your problems. You can buy a beautiful house, but you can't buy a happy family. You can buy a private jet, but you can't buy genuine relationships. You can hire assistants, but you can't outsource your purpose. And when you don't define what enough means, there's always another number. $100,000 becomes $200,000. $200,000 becomes $500,000. And eventually, you can spend your entire life climbing without asking why you're climbing. The real advantage of $100,000 isn't luxury, it's control. You can protect your time, build businesses, invest, create, and say no. That's where money becomes truly powerful. People think wealthy people buy expensive things, but the smartest wealthy people buy something much more valuable: time. At lower incomes, you often exchange your time directly for money. You work an hour, you get paid for an hour. You stop working, the income stops. At higher incomes, the goal becomes different. You try to make your money, businesses, systems, and investments work without requiring every minute of your personal time. That's leverage. Imagine two people. Person A earns $30 an hour. Person B earns $300 an hour. Person A thinks, if I want more money, I need more hours. Person B thinks, how can I create something once and get paid many times? A business, a digital product, software, an investment, a content library, a team, a system. These create leverage.
And you don't need $100,000 a month to start thinking this way. Even at $1,000, you can learn valuable skills, automate repetitive work, and invest in tools that save you time. Because the ultimate goal of money isn't to own more things, it's to gain more control over your life. So, what should you actually aim for? Should you chase $100,000 a month? Maybe, but there's a better question. What level of income would give me the life I actually want? Maybe you don't need $100,000. Maybe you need $5,000. Maybe $10,000. The goal isn't to win a competition against strangers. It's to build a life where money supports you instead of controlling you. If you're making $1,000, don't obsess over becoming a millionaire tomorrow. Focus on reaching $2,000, then $3,000, then $5,000. Build skills. Learn sales. Learn technology. Understand business. Create something. Solve problems. Become valuable. And when your income increases, don't immediately increase your lifestyle. Let the gap grow. If you make $5,000 and live on $4,000, you have $1,000 to build your future. If you make $10,000 and live on $6,000, you have $4,000. Now you're not just earning, you're accumulating. And accumulation gives you options. Options give you freedom. Freedom gives you control over your time. That's why the real progression isn't $1,000 to $10,000 to $100,000. It's survival, stability, freedom. At $1,000, you're trying to survive. At $10,000, you can create stability. At $100,000, you have the potential to create enormous freedom. But none of those numbers guarantee happiness.
Money is a tool. You decide what that tool builds. You can use it to build a bigger cage or a bigger life.
So if you're currently making $1,000 a month, don't be ashamed. You're at a starting point. If you're making $10,000, don't assume you've made it. Protect the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And if you're making $100,000, don't spend your entire life trying to prove that you deserve it. Use the money to buy back your time. Build things that matter. Protect your relationships. And decide what enough means before the world decides it for you. Because at the end of your life, you won't wish you had spent more hours checking your bank account.
You'll wish you had more time with the people you loved, more freedom to choose. And that's the real difference between $1,000, $10,000, and $100,000.
It's not the cars. It's not the houses. It's not the watches. It's control. The question isn't, how much money can I make? The better question is, how much freedom can I build with the money I make? Because once you understand that, you stop chasing money for the sake of money, and you start using money to build a life worth living.